at Transport Evolved, we like to focus not only on the latest and greatest in new electric vehicles coming to market, but also providing this community with the knowledge and tools it needs to help ensure the cleaner, greener, safer, smarter, and more equitable transportation solutions they pick last for as long as possible. And just like us humans, the best way to keep your EV happy is to ensure you keep it serviced, avoid extremes of temperature and state of charge, and keep an eye on everything going on under the hood. Yeah, I know it's technically not under the hood for most EVs, but I guess we still use that term. I suppose I could use under the floor, but not all EV components are actually under the floor in all vehicles. So maybe we could say keep an eye on everything that your EV relies on to work. But that's really rather clunky. So if you have an alternative suggestion, you know where to leave it. Depending on the make and model of your vehicle, exactly how much data is provided to you when it comes to vehicle health will vary quite considerably. Some automakers still give you useful snippets in smartphone apps to help you make informed next step decisions. Others, they just give you the dreaded "Service Vehicle Now" message. So today, we're going to focus on the world of onboard diagnostic dongles, otherwise known as OBDII dongles, and we're going to explain why you and your EV needs one in 2025. As computers have become more advanced and the humble microprocessor more ubiquitous, the amount of stuff in a vehicle that relies on a computer has become mind-boggling. It seems only yesterday, although it's a good 40 years or more ago, that the majority of car systems, internal combustion and electric, required on old-fashioned analog gauges to communicate your vehicle's health. Worried about oil pressure? You could buy an aftermarket oil pressure gauge and install it in an afternoon with a few basic tools. Concerned your car's 12-volt battery wasn't feeling healthy? You could throw in a voltmeter and maybe even an ammeter if you were concerned that there was an unusual current drain somewhere in the system. Even for EVs, things were reasonably simple. My first electric vehicle had a handful of specially designed circuits to monitor the vehicle's state of charge and current drain, but even then, adding extra circuits was generally the way you monitored what was going on. These days, things are very different for both ICE and EVs. In both of these situations, everything from the window buttons to the heater controls is now under the auspices of computerized control. In fact, it's rare to find a component on a vehicle which isn't linked to the rest of the car via a computer system rather than directly controlled by contacts made in switchgear. And automakers have leaned pretty heavily away from giving the owner too much data about how their vehicle is doing. So if you want to know more than the very basics about how much range your car has, if the tyres are properly inflated, or how long it will take to finish charging, you'll probably need one of these. Onboard diagnostics dongles. Plugging into an OBD2 port somewhere on your vehicle, these little doodads allow you to bridge the data gap between your vehicle's onboard computer system and either a tablet computer or a mobile phone. They allow you to see a whole lot more of the data that your car's computer system produces and monitors it to decide if it's healthy or not. And if you combine one of these with the right app, you can keep a tighter check on your vehicle's health, understand its behaviour a little better, and perhaps even save yourself from a costly visit to the dealership. If you've watched our videos for a while, you'll have seen us break these out to check out the state of health of our fleet's traction batteries now and then, or to tweak settings that your automaker might prefer you paid to tweak. But what is OBD2? How does it work? And what can it do? OBD2, Onboard Diagnostics 2, is a communication protocol that's existed in the auto industry for decades, and it can trace its origins back to the very first onboard diagnostics protocols as developed by Volkswagen in the late 1960s. Designed primarily to allow automakers and service staff to quickly identify problems with a vehicle, onboard diagnostics protocols remained pretty proprietary until 1979, when the Society of Automotive Engineers decided it would be a good idea to develop a standardized diagnostic system that used a set series of test procedures and signals to figure out vehicle health. It also laid out a standardized connector pinout. Granted, it wasn't a computerized system as we would think of one today, but that groundwork led to the development of the OBDII standard in the late 1980s, and its subsequent adoption by the early 1990s after the California Air Resources Board mandated that all new vehicles needed to use an OBDII system as part of new strict emission standards. By this point in history, the diagnostic system used computer data communication principles to stream data about the car to the systems that required it, and the car's all-important diagnostic port. In the mid-1990s, that standard had evolved into what we now know as OBD2, again, mandated by California and eventually adopted worldwide. By 2008, the OBD2 standard became a required thing for all North American vehicles. Europe has a slightly different system, but they have similar shared roots. Now using the controller area network or CAN bus communication protocols used between different computer systems in your vehicle, it's grown a bunch since its inception, and we can utilize its abilities, which extend far beyond basic diagnostics, to give us a whole lot more information about our EV's health than the car's dashboard or infotainment system might natively offer up. I'm going to help you go through the process of connecting your car to a smartphone or tablet using a dongle in a second, but first, an important side note. Meet me at the other camera. The history I just gave you of OBD is very much a Cliff Notes version, and I left out a ton of complexities we don't need to worry about in this particular video. But what I do want to point out here is that OBD2, as it stands today, is an evolving standard, and that can cause issues for people wanting to gain access to their vehicle's diagnostic systems. For a start, not every automaker out there actually uses the OBD2 connector. While most do use the standard 2-row 16-pin plug, some don't, because they're special. Even when they do have a standard OBD2 port, some automakers have an additional quote-unquote diagnostics port that only sends certain messages to that port because they don't actively want you to have access to all the data. And then some automakers, like Ford, are now encrypting messages sent over the CAN bus, meaning that while the OBD2 port is there for you to plug your dongle into, your smartphone or OBD2 app might not actually be able to decode all of the data. And automakers are saying that it's been done to protect the computer systems inside the vehicle from hacking attempts and to keep you, the consumer, safe. But the knock-on effect here is that it also means that owners can no longer monitor their own vehicles without making expensive dealer trips. And I think we know how we all feel about that problem. In addition to being able to read errors, some programs and dongles allow you to clear those errors, which is useful. If you know the error is a ghost in the shell versus an actual serious problem, it's generally okay to do. However, and I want to be super clear here, you should never just randomly clear error codes without first truly understanding what they are or why they appeared in the first place. OBD2 dongles, while capable of clearing error codes, are also not generally used for mass programming your vehicle with new features or allow you to download software updates to your car. For that, you will need a far more expensive and complicated device, often worth hundreds of dollars or pounds or whatever your local currency is, along with a dedicated subscription to your automaker's service portal. Now, some automakers do allow owners to take out a day or two's subscription to that service that then lets them download software and update their vehicle or reprogram things, but that is certainly beyond the scope of this video, and you definitely shouldn't be doing that unless you really understand the implications of screwing around with your car's software. There are obviously exceptions to this. Kate used her OBDII dongle to tweak some features of a BMW i3 Rex, which were suboptimal in the standard default North American setup. That required a special app and also required one of a specific set of dongles, but it can be done. Basically then, the OBDII devices we are talking about are mainly for data acquisition, for deeper understanding of what's going on with your car, and to do that you'll need a dongle and an appropriate app. To get your OBDII dongle working with your EV, you'll need to pick one that works with your smartphone or tablet, and because the world of computer tech is wonderful and diverse and varied, exactly which adapter will work with your phone or tablet may be different to someone else. Usually, OBDII dongles come in one of 3 different communication technologies to send data to your smartphone or tablet computer. You have Bluetooth LE, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. Bluetooth LE, or low energy, is quickly becoming the norm for peripherals you connect to a smartphone or tablet because it often works right out of the box with very minimal configuration. If your phone or tablet supports it and the app you're going to use to connect to your car allows you to use connections using that protocol, it is frankly our go-to recommendation. However, not all smartphone, tablets, and apps actually support it, so you'll need to look at your specific devices to check compatibility. Bluetooth, the older original standard, is one that still works on many devices today, including devices that may not be fancy enough to have full BLE. You do have to go through some extra configuration hoops to get it working though, such as pairing the dongle with your phone or tablet before using it with the app to talk to your car. Most devices and apps on the market today support Bluetooth though, so it's a good bet that you'll be able to get this working. Finally, there's Wi-Fi, which, as the name suggests, utilizes either an existing Wi-Fi network to communicate with your car through a Wi-Fi connected dongle, or uses an ad hoc network made by your dongle that you then connect your smartphone or tablet to. Honestly, I find these are the most frustrating to use, as if you use Carplay or Android Auto, you probably won't be able to have both working at the same time. But once you've identified your preferred dongle, I honestly love these little Bluetooth LE dongles from VGate. They're very small and compact and do the job. I'll leave an affiliate link to them in the description. You'll need to find your app and get it downloaded. And which app you choose will depend on the vehicle you have and the device you're wanting to connect. For example, some vehicles, like the Nissan Leaf, have dedicated apps that are specifically designed to work with a particular make and model of car. The Nissan Leaf Spy app is the gold standard for EV diagnostics and does everything you need for Leaf owners, giving you additional data about your car's battery pack state of health and so much more. It allows you to track individual trips, plot consumption over time versus distance, and even let you monitor fast charging. You can change different parameters within the vehicle too, giving you much more of a granular control than is even possible with Nissan's official smartphone app. Leaf Spy is available for both iOS and Android. In a similar vein, if you're someone with an older Mitsubishi i-MiEV or i-MiEV sibling, like the Peugeot Ion or Citroën C0, there's an app called CanIon, which is also most excellent. And if you are someone with an old Chevrolet Volt with a V or Vauxhall/Opel Ampera, there are also dedicated apps that work great for both vehicles, allow you to control how and when the battery and engine run, and so much more. While we're going to do our best to list some of our favourite popular apps in the description, it is kind of difficult to track them all. So if you know of ones we haven't listed, feel free to make a comment in the down below. That said, if you don't have a specific app available for your car, you're probably going to need either Talk Pro for Android or OBD Fusion for iOS. There are other generic apps, but we're recommending these two as they are the ones we know the most about. You can find both in their respective app stores, and while you do have to pay for full functionality, they're honestly both worth it, can be fully customized, and work with PIDs, which brings me to the next section. While the OBDII standard now has a pretty common set of controls and datasets used by internal combustion engine vehicles to convey things like engine temperature, vehicle speed, gear, throttle position and steering, as well as all of the status indications for various lights. These days, most automakers use specific PIDs, or parameter identifications, to represent mark or vehicle-specific data. These IDs are usually not included in generic apps like Talk Pro or OBD Fusion, but importantly, you can add those to the apps. Luckily for us, you can download special files for your smartphone or tablet that contain a list of all of these specific PIDs for your particular EV, which instantly allows your smartphone to not only read the data specific to your car, but interpret it in a way that makes sense. Sometimes called custom sensors, you'll need to do some digging online to find the PIDs that correspond with your vehicle. Sometimes they're listed in a GitHub repository somewhere, and sometimes they're linked from a particular owner's forum associated with your chosen EV. Either way, they're normally able to be downloaded in a small file that you can then install onto your app. How you install them will depend on the particular app, but you're watching the Android Talk Pro app process of adding PIDs here, and in the OBD Fusion app, you'll find the ability to add user-defined PIDs to your app via the settings menu. Click Settings, Import from File, and then you'll be able to import your downloaded custom PIDs super easily. So once you've got the app and the dongle, and you've got the PIDs installed, what next? Well, the sky is the limit. Both of the apps I recommended here allow you to make custom dashboards that display additional information about your vehicle while your car is connected to the device. If you've got a car with Android Auto or Apple Carplay, you might even be able to connect the app to your car's infotainment system. That allows the extra data from your car's system to be displayed on the car's in-vehicle dash using the app. And this is particularly useful if you're someone who does a lot of long distance driving and gets your car's battery pack down to the charge now message, as the OBD2 port usually gives you a more granular state of charge representation than the often very frustrating messages that your car probably displays by default. And it's also a great way to figure out if your car's 12-volt starter battery is on its way out, because if your car starts throwing random, unrelated errors that bear absolutely no connection to one another, it's often a sign in an EV that its 12-volt battery is feeling ill. We did a video on exactly that topic a while back, so link is down below. At this point, I suspect some people will ask if all of this will void your warranty. I know lots of folks worry about plugging in something into their vehicle's OBD2 port, but the reality here is that most of the time, systems like this are used to passively read data from your vehicle rather than write data to it. Even if you do use an OBD2 adapter and an app to clear error codes, the error clearing is usually the only thing you can do because your vehicle's systems are designed to be pretty bulletproof. Further, if you are in the US, which most, but not all of our viewers are, the general consensus is that as an owner, you've every right to view data from your car's onboard diagnostics system, and if something were to go wrong as a consequence of plugging in a passive device, laws like the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act are generally interpreted as putting the onus on automakers and on dealerships to prove that the act of plugging in a dongle to your car caused it to suffer whatever issue your car is now being seen at the dealership for. But as I'm sure you know, I am personally not a lawyer, and you should always do your own due diligence before plugging something into your vehicle. Most dealerships don't mind if you ring them up with an error code to add to your booking in of a car that's misbehaving. Some actively even welcome it, but every once in a while you will also find a dealership willing to drag you over hot coals because they don't like the owner having any knowledge about the inner workings of their car. In cases like that, honestly, I think the best idea is to find a new dealer or mechanic, although the only thing I would add here is that it's probably best to not leave your OBD2 dongle plugged in all the time, or plugged in when you take it to the dealership. Some cars do provide power to that onboard diagnostic circuit when the vehicle is powered off, which obviously powers the dongle, and in extreme circumstances that can drain your 12-volt start battery, which isn't so great. But as we say time and time again, if you have more data and you're more informed, you're more likely to make a smarter choice about your vehicle. And in the case of OBD2 readers, if you have more data, your car is likely to be kept in a healthier condition. You'll more likely be aware of issues before they become major problems. And you'll also have a more accurate idea of just how healthy the battery pack, drivetrain, and other key components are, which usually increases your confidence with your vehicle and ultimately improves your ownership experience. Thanks for joining us today. And if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, down below, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They're part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. We've got options available across a range of different price points from just $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: Taylor Knox, Skyel, Andy, Gilardo Orzoko, Herb Suvesh, Dave Dittman, Christopher, Sean, Douglas Hill, Patrick Adams, How Many Wills Will Will Smith Smith If Will Smith Wills, Eridoon, Beazle Bob, William Hoffman, Cicadas Sing to hide existential dread at their short lives, Alan Benton, CC, Robert Howell, Mr. Hockey, and John DePoy. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at for the time being, addressed below. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you're someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce burnout, we're being a little freer with our release days, but plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on our main channel, plus something over on Sunday on TE Take 2. If you want more, the algorithm that hates us thinks you should watch this video, but this video is one we'd like you to check out. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving!